What's up, guys? Franco Mobile Homes here. We got Sunny and we got Patrick today.
This is where we show you the ins and outs and everything there is to know about mobile homes. It is truly our mission to transform lives through mobile homes. So thanks for watching Franco Mobile Homes.
And we are here talking about the mobile home market and also the process of mobile home buying. So we work really hard here to build a system around helping educate people about mobile homes and that sort of thing. So let's get right into it. I guess let's start it off with Sunny. Sunny, I'd love to ask you, in today's market, it's February 2023 right now. There's a lot of drama with the economy and that sort of thing. What do you see kind of happening with the mobile home market as far as like interest rate goes, demand goes, and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so the mobile home market kind of follows the residential home market with a lag. So what's ever happening in the residential market, I can kind of predict what's going to happen with the mobile home industry as well. So as interest rates went up last year, starting June, we did see a slowdown. And as it starts trickling, like it's kept increasing, there was less buyers in the market, not because they didn't qualify, but because they were afraid. So what I saw, especially since now it's February 2023, interest rates have kind of stagnated. So it's been a little bit more like the same. I'm seeing a lot of buyers re-enter the market as they get more comfortable with the interest rate. And for my buyers that when I first start working with them, I do let them know that the interest rate for mobile homes will be a little bit higher than residential. It's about 2-3-ish%. So just to brace themselves there. But I always say, marry the house, date the rate. If you can at least afford the monthly payments, interest rates will go down. By how much, we don't know. But when it does go down, you can always refinance in the future.
Yeah.
All the agents nowadays, like all the agents, they're always like, now is a good time to buy. Now is a good time to buy. But honestly, like right now is a pretty good time to buy if you're ready for it, because with the purchase price, a lot of my buyers are able to offer below listed price and then negotiate from there. Whereas last year, when interest rates were a lot lower, we were competing against like 12 offers at one point, over asking, contingencies waived. So now, even though interest rates is a little bit like higher than we would like it to, a lot of my buyers do have more negotiation power when it comes to like looking for a home, and they have a little bit more like time to look to, because they're not forced to, let's just submit an offer and see what happens.
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned a lot there. So basically what I'm hearing is it's kind of like a teeter-totter of balance. Like, hey, yes, maybe interest rates might be a little bit higher than it was a year ago. And it was record lows for a while, right? Now, but with that, we're not overbidding for the home price, which means we're getting better deals on the home price. And the other thing that you mentioned that I want to bring up too is that when you're comparing interest rates, a lot of what we advise for our clients is always subject to their personal finances as well. We're always going to give the right advice of if it makes sense for them or not. And when you relate it to someone coming from renting, going into purchasing it with an interest rate, then it's easier to kind of to explain that, hey, this ownership model, you're going to have a lot of tax benefits. You're going to have something that you're paying a mortgage towards, and it's almost always a better case to get out of renting and into owning. Now, but it's always going to depend on everyone's different scenario. Now, on that topic, Patrick, you recently helped a buyer. Actually, you guys both worked on it together. Could you tell me more about how that went about, how you met them, and what's their story? Because I actually only met them briefly, and they were ecstatic. They were happy about it. And yeah, tell me about them.
I actually got a referral from one of my coworkers, or my old coworkers. And so basically they are a couple who was looking to start a starter home, and basically they are having a baby, and so there was a baby coming on the way, and basically they just wanted to have that family and have that first home where they could raise a child in a better neighborhood. They said that they would experience fireworks almost every night, and they really just pushed them away from renting and wanting to just be in a mobile home to start that family, with especially a newborn baby coming on the way. So so it's I forgot. Well, anyways, it's a husband and wife, and then they're gonna have a baby coming soon. Tell us, like, so what exactly? Where were they living? Do you know how much they were paying monthly? And yeah, so they were living in the East Side, and they were probably planning for the future of their kid and wanted to make that move before the kid happens, because it's always common. We always have a lot of cases where they want to resolve this because they know that once they have a kid, it's going to be way more difficult down the line, right? Yes.
So tell us a bit about kind of their family situation.
Yeah, so basically, they're expecting to have the baby in April. They wanted to just get everything set up and have the home ready for when they come home from the hospital. So all of that was set up, and
where were they coming from?
They were renting from a apartment. I would say ballpark, they're paying around 2,500 to 2,700 rent. And so basically they wanted
Do you know how big that rental was?
I wasn't sure. They didn't go over how big their apartment was. But basically with that, they wanted to just start brand new, basically. I mean, I know he's the type of, or they're the type of people to put in their sweat equity in and try to make the home that what they could afford and what they can do to basically build up, doing the things that they could do to remodel for their mobile home. I'm blanking.
However, even if they were renting, I know it wasn't like 1,700 square feet, which is the home that they ended up closing on.
That's a very good point. And let's see here. So you, a friend referred them to you, because they know you do the mobile home stuff. Mm-hmm. Now they probably got started with Sunny, and you guys worked together on this, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the process like the first steps, really? So I know, Sunny, you get involved. This is where you really kind of give that housing advice and compare what they're coming from, what their payments are. Mm-hmm. What are the first few steps? And is it pretty intimidating getting the loan stuff started? Is it very difficult, or how's that work?
So number one, the first step is always to get pre-approved, just because then you know what your buying power is, because you don't want to guess what your buying power is and send them listings as a buyer agent only for them to fall in love with a house that's out of their price range. So that's the very first step. Not very intimidating. The application is one page. Then our in-house lending team, she asked for 2 years tax return and just recent pay stubs, and then you're locked in on that interest rate for 3 months. So even if you don't decide to go through with it, it's no harm, no foul. You don't really have to commit anything else after that. But once you go pending, that's when the park application starts, and then submitting loan docs in order to get the lender to fund it on time. But if you're working with a good buyer agent, then they should be able to help alleviate a lot of the stress and help you prioritize what needs to be turned in first, so that you can turn everything in a timely manner, and then you're not just scattered with all this paperwork that needs to be done.
Absolutely. And that loan, that park application and that loan process, it is a very important part. But I feel like we skipped a small part here, is when you find out their loan qualification, what's the search of the home look like? And why should they work with an agent that does mobile homes to help find the search? Why can't I just look online myself?
I feel like once we get them pre-approved, we're able to really connect with our buyers with what they're looking for, what they really need, and what makes sense for them. Just being able to connect with the buyer and understanding what they need and how we're going to match them with the home that possibly will work really well for them is, I feel like, one of the more important things for them. And just connecting and seeing and being realistic with them when they're able to understand what they're realistically working with after meeting with the lender and after looking at multiple houses that's on the market and what's available. It really helps hone down and kind of just narrow the choices on what will really work for them. Of course, they have preferences, and our buyer was already looking for a certain area. They were looking in Sunnyvale. The market is completely different, as you know, when you're going throughout the Bay Area between prices and the type of competition that you'll see. And so I feel like we were able to help them understand really what will be the perfect choice for them in terms of what their goals are in terms of looking for the house.
And then not only that, but once you get the pre-approval, you usually get like what your estimated monthly payments will be. So if you're working with a buyer that's not a buyer agent that's knowledgeable in the mobile home industry, they'll take it before. I like to curate a list for my buyers, but throughout the entire process, as I'm making the list, not only do I just like look on the MLS and to see what homes I think they would like, but I'm also calculating if their income can meet the park requirements before I send it to them too. Because what we want to avoid is sending them like a home that, yeah, it might be in like the range that they're pre-approved for, but if you just totally negate the space rent, once you calculate that in when it comes time for park approval and they don't make park application, then you're just wasting their time and they kind of lose hope as like in not only you as a buyer agent, but in the entire process as well, because they submitted an offer and then they got rejected once when this would have been totally avoided.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because we talked about this in another video. However, it's very important to know every park's qualifications, right? Because we look at each buyer. On our team, when you work with a buyer, you really want to know all their metrics, their pets, who's going to be living in the home, their vehicles, their income, and how are these parks going to look at the income, because every park looks at every metric differently, right? And that's where having someone like Patrick or Sunny be able to guide them through by saving them time and selecting homes that they know that they have a very good chance at qualifying at. That's a very important thing, because you don't want to get people's hopes up. You don't want to waste anyone's time, because it would be a waste of time, right? So,
and as a buyer, you're not paying our commission anyway. So why don't you go with like a mobile home expert or an expert in that field, because it's at no cost to you anyways.
Exactly. And it always, and I always say this, but it always works. It always works to your benefit to work with someone that does this repeatedly and as a specialist there. So yes, there's a ton of real estate agents, but you want to work with someone that knows the problem so that you can resolve these problems before they come up or fix problems after they come up. So great job. Now, let's see here. So Patrick, I know you're kind of getting into this too. What would you say? Actually, first question is, what did you learn during this process?
So during this whole process, I learned from Sunny that you make sure to double check all your signatures on all the disclosures.
Oh my God.
All right, no, but on a serious note, definitely double check your paperwork. Disclosures are a huge part. Being a homeowner, disclosures, you're going to have a lot of responsibility. And so I learned a lot in terms of making sure that all of these paperworks were handled in a timely manner, in a very clean, make sure to double check where you're signing, dot your I's, cross your T's, and make sure you get that back to who needs to get that paperwork accordingly.
Nice.
Yeah.
But on a more serious note of helping the buyer, I learned in terms of being able to understand what problems needed to be solved, and really honing in on that. Because if they're choosing an agent that is just going to look for their house and they're just looking at numbers, it's going to be really hard to really connect with the person who needs it the most. And nurturing that relationship with my buyer, I made sure that whatever concerns that they had, that I was going to hone in on it and try to find that solution. And if not find the solution, really try to just be a listener, because they're not going to talk to other agents during this whole process regarding questions that they may not know. And so being a good listener and really knowing how to help them and guide them through this really scary process will get them to the finish line of being a homeowner and meeting that goal and figuring out that solution to their problem.
Oh, that's awesome. And that's why I'm glad that you guys are both learning from each other and working together on this, because, I know, Sonny, you've done this several times and there are mistakes, but, that's why, Sonny's here to back you on that. And we all try to build out and keep learning from those.